So guys, behind me here, I just dropped a hickory tree. So this hickory tree has been was ring cut 2 years ago, and it's been standing ever since. So it's been dead a couple years, but it's been standing, so it's been up off the forest floor. So we're just gonna do a little test on it, kind of see what the middle is as far as moisture content, what she reads. So we got us a stump here, kind of in the center. That's the rest of the tree down that way, and so we're kind of down like about a third up the tree, because there's the stump right there, and then there's the top. So about a third of the way up. So we're gonna just first of all, we're gonna go to our menu here, and we're gonna see hickory pecan is E. All right, so turn it on. All right, we got our setting to the wood, and we got our setting to building. So building would be for like if you're like trying to figure out in your basement or something, your basement was leaking, like in the 2x4s in the walls or whatnot. Okay, so we're gonna switch that back over to wood. It's on wood now. I forgot what so hickory pecan is E. So we're gonna go to E. You see the little deal switching? I just went past it because I was trying to show you guys how it changes, and that's pretty easy. So we got it on E. All right, we're gonna test the middle first. So we're coming up with 27.3. So this wood needs some seasoning still, even though it's been dead a couple years. It's been standing, hasn't been cut up, hasn't been split, and hasn't dried. So let's just take a look at the outside here, see what we come up with. All right, so 20.5. That's getting real close on the outside, but it's still just a little bit too wet for what we want to sell. I try to get between the 15 and 16% range. So let's just check the middle again. I'll show you guys. Yep, so we're at 24. So we're just a little bit too wet. That's all right. We got plenty of storage. We're going to put this wood up, and we'll try to see what it registers at next year. So some reasons why you might want this product, or you might want to look into a product like this. Number one, you sell firewood. So you don't want to sell people firewood that's not going to burn. I have a lot of complaints from people who have, they said the last guy that they had selling firewood, it was either, super rotten in a ditch, real wet, nasty wood that wouldn't burn, or it was just too green and it wouldn't start. When you use something like this, you can check that firewood as you're cutting it, and you can tell if you need to season it a little bit longer. And you can also tell, if it's good enough to sell to the customer. So it takes all the guesswork out. I used to think that you could tell by the way it's split and, its hardness and all that stuff. But, that does give you an indication of how good a wood it is and how good it looks. But this moisture meter will tell you exactly where you need to be. So where do you need to be? So you want to be between 10 and 20% for the most efficient wood burning firewood that you can get. So if it's a little bit over 20%, now you're looking at pretty wet wood, and that's usually your green wood, and it hasn't had a chance to season well. Now if you're looking below 10%, that wood's going to burn great, but it's going to be so dry, it's going to burn quick, and it's not necessarily going to give off the most BTUs. I want to try to give my customers between 10 and 20%, so I know that I can sleep at night knowing that I gave them the absolute best firewood that is going to burn. So if you burn wet firewood, not only is it going to be hard to start and hard to burn, it's going to give off a lot of, it's not going to be a fully combustible burn. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of creosote in your chimney, and it's going to cause you problems eventually. So you want to make sure that you do have correctly seasoned firewood, so that smoke just goes right out of the chimney, and you'll have a little bit. You're gonna have to still clean out your fireplace and your chimney, but you can really have a lot of problems if you're burning wet wood. And if you have dry wood, it's gonna burn fast, and it's not gonna give your house the heat that you want and that you paid for when you buy firewood. So another reason you might want this is if you're something like a building inspector or a contractor or something. So say you got a customer who may have had a wet basement in the past, and you can check that for them. You can see if them 2x4s are what their moisture level is to the dot, to the right percentage. And then furthermore, as far as that goes, if you're a sawmill operator or something like that, you got your wood cut up, you got your 2x4s or whatever you're cutting up, and you stack them, and you can check that moisture level, and you can see if those are ready to sell or if they're too green or whatnot, because you know, wood shrinks as it dries, it gets smaller, and so there's a little bit of science involved in how much is it going to shrink to get, you know, a 2x4 if you're cutting green wood, for instance. So there's a lot of different capacities that you can use this, but for me primarily I'm gonna be using it to sell firewood. And you can use it also if you buy firewood, so you know that when the guy gets off, you know, it might be kind of rude, but hey, if he's selling you good stuff, you can put this moisture meter on there, or even after he leaves maybe, and just check it, and maybe you find another wood guy if he's giving you something that's, you know, either too green or whatever, too dry, too wet to burn, or whatever it might be. So that can ensure that, you know, you're spending your money wisely and you're getting the firewood that you deserve. So anyway, this is kind of just a little review of the moisture meter. I've been using it now for about 3 months, and I've cut and sold about 14 loads of firewood, and every single one of those since I've had this, I don't have to worry about, oh, I hope that was the right firewood. You know, it split nice, and it looked good, and it felt good, and had a lot of weight to it, but not too much weight, you know, and all that stuff. You know, just stuff that you kind of pick up knowing if it's a good firewood or not. If you burn your entire life, you know, in a wood stove and cut your own firewood, then you kind of know what's gonna be right in that vicinity. But with this, I know exactly what that moisture level is. If I want to go through and spot check, you know, every single load that I deliver, I know for a fact that is going to be good burning wood. I don't have to, it just takes the guesswork out of it. So anyway, I highly recommend this for someone who sells firewood, someone who buys firewood, or if you're just a contractor, sawmill operator, building inspector, or anything like that. This is going to come in handy at some point. So you might want to check this out. Now, if you go to the link that I'll have in the description of this video, just know I am an Amazon affiliate. And so if you do purchase this or any other qualifying purchases, that I will receive some compensation from that, and it will not affect your final dollar at all. It will not cost you any more money at all, but it will be helping out my family a little bit. Amazon will give me a kickback for that. But I wouldn't tell you if this is good, if it was crap. I've had a lot of success with it, and it just seems to be very right on, because things that I know that have seasoned for a couple years, I'll put it on there, and it's right there in that 15-16% range. I know that just by intuition kind of what is going to be good firewood, and this is usually right on. It's going to give me a really good indicator of where that moisture level's at in that firewood. All right, guys, we got an oak here I just took down, so I'm going to put the settings on oak now. This is in the red oak family, so I do red oak. Red oak is A, so let's move it. Here we're on A for oak. So this is one I've split open here. Let's split some pieces off of it. This is near the base of the tree. We're going to go on the inside. Looking at 20, 28, 27.7%. On the outside here, 26.6%. Okay, so this was a damaged tree. You can see there's some rot on the outside. If you'll look further up the base, you can actually see that there's still some leaves that are hanging on. So this tree wasn't all the way dead. It was dying, but it wasn't all the way dead. Still very green. I'm gonna have to let it definitely season a year and then see where it's at. But honestly, I cut this tree down, and I know that it had leaves growing on it, but the way it split, I thought, man, this is probably pretty decent firewood. It might be a little bit wet and need to dry out, but this isn't anywhere close. I mean, it's almost 10% too wet for me to want to sell for where I want it to be. So thankfully I have one of these. I can sell the best quality. Like I said, I can sleep at night knowing that I sold the absolute best quality wood, quality firewood that's going to burn for my clients.